The massive observation deck stretched across the diplomatic station's curve, its transparent alloy windows revealing an endless starscape. Jay Park stood motionless, his dark eyes tracking the intricate dance of alien spacecraft carefully navigating around human-controlled space sectors. Surrounding him, holographic star charts flickered with soft blue lines, mapping out routes that deliberately curved wide around anything bearing human identification markers. Alien navigation systems, programmed with generations of collective memory, ensured maximum distance from human territories. Yuna Kim, his research colleague, adjusted the holographic display. Her fingers moved with practiced precision, highlighting the invisible boundaries that no alien civilization dared to cross. The chart showed massive empty zones, regions that remained untouched, uninvaded, and fundamentally feared. "They still remember," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the station's ambient hum. The station itself was a marvel of human engineering, designed to be both intimidating and subtly provocative. Its sleek design suggested power without aggression, technological superiority without overt threat. Every architectural detail communicated a silent message: approach with caution. Nearby alien diplomats moved with restrained nervousness. Their body languages, a complex mix of tentacular movements, electromagnetic shifts, and biochemical signals, all suggested a profound unease. They knew the stories, the legends that had transformed human reputation from a minor spacefaring species to something far more terrifying. Jay understood the psychological landscape better than most. Humanity's reputation wasn't built on continuous warfare, but on strategic demonstrations of absolute capabilities. One incident, one moment of unprecedented technological brutality, had permanently altered galactic perception. The station's communication systems hummed softly. Incoming transmissions from various alien confederacies showed predictable patterns: cautious, measured, always maintaining significant distances. No one wanted to risk provoking human attention. A holographic representation of a Centaurian diplomatic vessel appeared, its navigation trajectory creating an exaggerated arc around human space. The ship's movement was almost comical in its exaggerated avoidance, a silent testament to deeply ingrained fear. Yuna chuckled softly, her eyes tracking the vessel's movements. "They could save significant fuel by taking a more direct route," she remarked dryly. Jay's response was a slight smile, knowing, calculated, containing layers of unspoken understanding. The alien's fear was not irrational. It was a carefully cultivated result of strategic communication and controlled demonstrations of technological might. The station's ambient lighting shifted, casting soft shadows that seemed to enhance the mysterious atmosphere. Outside, stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the complex political dynamics playing out within human-controlled regions. Alien sensor arrays constantly scanned the boundaries, collecting data, analyzing potential risks, but they would find nothing, just an impenetrable wall of technological superiority and psychological deterrence. A junior diplomatic aide approached, holding a data tablet. His movements were careful, almost reverent. Even among humans, the stories of their species' galactic reputation were spoken with a mixture of pride and hushed respect. "Another confederation requesting long-range communication protocols," the aide mentioned, his voice neutral but containing an underlying tension. Jay nodded, his gesture conveying volumes. No words were necessary. The protocols were always the same: controlled, measured, designed to maintain the delicate balance of fear and respect. The observation deck continued its silent vigil. Alien vessels moved like careful dancers, maintaining precise distances, their navigation systems programmed with ancestral memories of humanity's potential for technological violence. In this moment, in this space, humanity didn't need to demonstrate power. The mere suggestion, the whispered legends, the carefully maintained reputation, these were weapons far more effective than any physical armament. Yuna returned to her calculations, her fingers moving across holographic interfaces. Another day, another demonstration of humanity's quiet, persistent dominance in the galactic political landscape. The stars outside seemed to watch, silent witnesses to a reputation built not on continuous conflict, but on strategic, calculated demonstrations of absolute technological superiority. As the station continued its orbital path, the message remained clear. No alien civilization would casually cross into human space. Not today. Not ever. The fear was real, the reputation was earned, and humanity remained, as always, quietly, confidently, in control. 17 years earlier, the Proxima system burned with the intensity of 1,000 dying suns. Captain Sung Wang stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt, his hands steady, his eyes cold and calculating. The Krellian invasion fleet stretched across the starscape, massive, seemingly unstoppable, their biomechanical ships pulsing with destructive potential. Humanity had been pushed to its absolute limit. The outer colonies were under siege, millions of lives hanging in the balance. Traditional warfare had failed. Conventional weapons were useless against the Krellian technological adaptations. The communication systems crackled with desperate transmissions. Colony governors begged for support. Civilian ships scrambled to escape. But Sung knew something the Krellians didn't understand. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its technology, but its capacity for absolute strategic innovation. His tactical team worked with machine-like precision. Young engineers, scientists, and military strategists huddled around holographic displays, their fingers dancing across complex interfaces. They were creating something unprecedented, a weapon that would redefine warfare forever. Dr. Hana Lee, the lead researcher, approached with a data tablet. Her eyes burned with a mixture of scientific excitement and moral complexity. "We've completed the neural entanglement protocol," she said, her voice steady. The Krellian fleet continued its advance. Massive biomechanical ships that could consume entire planetary ecosystems, adaptive weapons that learned and transformed with each engagement. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations, assimilating technologies, destroying resistance. But they had never encountered humanity. Sung reviewed the final calculations. The weapon was elegant in its terrible simplicity. A quantum-adaptive neural disruptor that didn't just destroy physical infrastructure, but could systematically erase collective consciousness across entire species' neural networks. One button, press would change everything. The bridge was silent. Crew members understood the magnitude of what was about to happen. This wasn't just a battle. This was a defining moment for human survival. Every calculation, every moment of preparation had led to this singular point. Outside, the first Krellian ships began their final approach. Massive energy signatures built up, preparing to unleash destruction on human colonies. They believed victory was inevitable. They were wrong. Dr. Lee initiated the final sequence. Quantum entanglement created invisible networks, connecting with the Krellian fleet's collective consciousness. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, it was a living algorithm of total systemic destruction. The first signs were subtle. Krellian ships began to drift. Communication networks collapsed. Their adaptive systems suddenly became vulnerable. Each technological advantage turning into a catastrophic weakness. Sung watched without emotion. Millions of Krellian consciousnesses, millennia of collected knowledge, entire civilizations' memories, began to dissolve. Not destroyed, erased, completely and permanently. Within minutes, the entire invasion fleet became nothing more than empty biomechanical shells. No survivors, no records, complete systemic elimination. The quantum neural disruptor didn't just kill. It removed the very essence of their collective existence. Tactical reports began flooding in. Complete mission success. 0 human casualties. Total Krellian elimination. A clinical, precise surgical strike that would become legendary across multiple star systems. Dr. Lee's hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from the pure scientific marvel of what they had achieved. They had not just defended humanity. They had redefined the very concept of warfare. Communication logs would later show minimal details. Official reports would be heavily redacted. But the message was clear. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would not be threatened. The bridge crew remained silent. They understood they had just changed galactic history forever. Captain Sung looked out into the now quiet starscape. The Proxima system, moments ago a battlefield, now seemed peaceful. Too peaceful, as if nothing had ever happened. Mission complete, he said simply. The universe would remember this moment, not as a battle, but as a warning. No alien civilization would ever again consider humanity a potential conquest. The Forgotten War became the most important moment in human interstellar history, a silent, devastating demonstration of what humanity could do when pushed to its absolute limit. Sung knew they had crossed a line from which there was no returning, and humanity would never look back. Dr. Hyun Choi's laboratory hummed with an eerie silence. Rows of quantum processors blinked with mysterious rhythms, each circuit representing a potential nightmare for any technological civilization. Holographic displays danced with complex algorithms that seemed to breathe with an almost living intelligence. The weapon wasn't just a machine, it was something more. A thinking system that could predict, adapt, and destroy with terrifying precision. Years of research had created something beyond traditional understanding of technology. Outside the research facility, alien intelligence analysts studied fragments of human technological reports. Their communication networks buzzed with nervous energy. Something was different about human technology, something fundamentally unpredictable. Hyun's primary research focused on quantum adaptive weaponry. Each test pushed the boundaries of what technology could do. The system could learn faster than any known computational matrix. It didn't just process information, it anticipated, it predicted, it understood. A small demonstration cube sat in the center of the main research chamber. To an untrained eye, it looked like a simple metallic object. But this cube could analyze and neutralize any technological defense within milliseconds. It learned, it adapted, it evolved. Alien technological experts had tried to understand. They collected data, ran simulations, studied every available fragment. But human technology remained a complete mystery. Each attempt to analyze it only revealed more questions. The cube suddenly pulsed. Soft blue light emerged, creating intricate patterns that seemed to dance with mathematical precision. Hyun watched carefully, his fingers hovering over monitoring systems. Each pulse represented a potential breakthrough, or a potential global threat. Research logs suggested something unprecedented. The technology wasn't just a weapon, it was a living algorithm of potential destruction. It could read technological signatures, understand defensive systems, and create counter-strategies faster than any known computational system. Nearby monitoring screens showed global technological networks. The cube's influence could be seen, subtle changes, microscopic adaptations that suggested something far beyond traditional understanding of technology. Alien diplomatic channels began circulating warnings. Fragments of reports suggested humanity had developed something that could neutralize any technological defense in existence, not through brute force but through intelligent, adaptive learning. Hyun understood the philosophical implications. This wasn't just about warfare. This was about redefining the very concept of technological interaction. Each algorithm represented a potential revolution in understanding technological systems. The research facility maintained absolute secrecy. Security protocols were multiple layers deep. No single person understood the complete system. It was a distributed network of potential technological destruction. Quantum entanglement allowed the system to exist in multiple states simultaneously. It could analyze potential defensive strategies before they were even conceived. Traditional concepts of attack and defense became meaningless. A junior researcher approached holding a data tablet. Her movements were careful, almost reverent. She understood they were working on something beyond traditional scientific boundaries. The latest simulation shows 99.99998% potential adaptation rate. she reported, her voice neutral but containing an underlying tension. Hyun nodded. Numbers were just numbers. The real power was in the system's capacity to learn, to understand, to predict. Outside, the world continued its normal rhythm. Most humans were unaware of the technological marvel being developed. But alien civilizations knew. They could feel the subtle shifts in technological landscapes. The cube pulsed again. Soft mathematical patterns emerged, creating complex geometric designs that suggested intelligence beyond traditional understanding. It was watching. It was learning. It was preparing. Alien technological experts would later describe it as a living algorithm of extinction. Not because it was designed to destroy, but because it could understand and neutralize any potential technological threat with terrifying efficiency. Dr. Hyun Choi had created something more than a weapon. He had created a new understanding of technological interaction, a system that could think, adapt, and respond faster than any known computational matrix. The technological nightmare was real, and it was just beginning. Kang Woo sat in the diplomatic chamber, his presence filling the room with an unspoken tension. Alien representatives from multiple star systems shifted uncomfortably, their various biological forms displaying subtle signs of nervous energy. The negotiation table was a marvel of human design, smooth, reflective surface that seemed to absorb and redirect every conversation. Each alien delegation had carefully studied human communication patterns for decades, yet they still understood nothing. Diplomacy is about perception, Kang would often tell his junior colleagues. We don't need to prove our threat, we just need them to believe it. The current meeting concerned resource allocation in the Outer Rim territories. Technically, it was a routine diplomatic discussion. In reality, it was a carefully orchestrated psychological performance. Kang's tablet displayed multiple layers of information. Quantum encrypted messages flickered between lines of diplomatic text. To the alien representatives, it looked like a standard communication device. In reality, it was collecting microscopic data about their physiological responses. The Centaurian representative, a creature of complex electromagnetic biology, tried to maintain composure. Its tentacular appendages moved with calculated precision, attempting to appear calm. But Kang could read the subtle vibrations of fear. Every human diplomat was trained in advanced psychological warfare. They understood that true power wasn't about destruction, but about creating an environment of constant uncertainty. Small details mattered. The precise angle of a chair, the specific shade of the conference room's lighting, the subtle background hum of communication systems. Everything was designed to create psychological pressure. Alien intelligence reports circulated through secret networks. They spoke of human capabilities in hushed, nervous tones, stories of total technological elimination, rumors of weapons that could erase entire civilizations in moments. The Centaurian representative began its presentation. Kang listened, his face a perfect mask of diplomatic neutrality. Each word was analyzed, each gesture measured. The alien didn't realize it was being studied more thoroughly than it was studying humans. Communication wasn't just about words. It was about creating a narrative of potential threat. A junior human diplomat entered carrying additional documents. Her movements were precise, almost mechanical. She understood the psychological dance happening in the room. Every step, every gesture was part of the performance. The resource allocation discussion continued, but it wasn't really about resources. It was about demonstrating human superiority without saying a single aggressive word. Quantum communication systems ran silent protocols. Microscopic data collectors gathered information about alien physiological responses. Each breath, each minute muscle movement was being analyzed. Kang understood the fundamental truth of interstellar diplomacy. Fear was the most powerful weapon, not the fear of immediate destruction, but the fear of potential destruction. The meeting would conclude with the aliens believing they had negotiated successfully. In reality, They had been carefully manipulated into accepting human terms without realizing it. Subtle technological displays surrounded the room. Holographic interfaces showed minimal information, but suggested vast technological capabilities. Each alien representative would leave with a sense of something profound and terrifying. Humanity doesn't need to demonstrate power, Kang had once told his training group. We just need to suggest the possibility of power. The Centaurian's communication, tendrils vibrated with nervous energy. Its biological systems were sending subtle stress signals. Kang could read these like an open book. 1 hour of diplomatic interaction would create months of careful alien strategic planning. Each word, each gesture was a calculated move in a complex psychological chess match. As the meeting concluded, the alien representatives moved carefully. Their body languages suggested a mixture of respect, fear, and total uncertainty. Kang allowed himself a micro-expression of satisfaction. Another successful negotiation completed. The human diplomatic corps had transformed warfare. No longer was conflict about direct confrontation. It was about creating an environment of psychological uncertainty. Outside the diplomatic chamber, the stars continued their silent dance. Alien navigation systems would continue plotting careful routes around human territories. Perception was everything, and humanity had become a master of perception. The final truth hung in the space between stars, a delicate balance of perception and reality. J. Park stood on the observation deck watching the last Krellian diplomatic vessel complete its carefully plotted route around human territories. His fingers touched the holographic interface, revealing layers of information that no alien civilization could comprehend. The ultimate deterrent wasn't a weapon, it was uncertainty. Decades of carefully constructed mythology had transformed humanity's reputation. Every alien civilization believed humans possessed technology beyond imagination. But the real secret was far more complex. Some of the stories were true. Many were carefully crafted lies. The quantum neural disruptor that had eliminated the Krellian invasion fleet was both real and a myth. Its true capabilities remained a mystery, even to most humans. Dr. Hannah Lee's original research had created something that existed between scientific fact and technological legend. Alien intelligence networks worked overtime. They collected fragments, analyzed data, tried to understand. But understanding was impossible. Humanity had perfected the art of technological mystery. A junior diplomatic analyst approached, holding a classified data tablet. Her movements were careful, precise. She understood the delicate balance of information management. Diplomatic reports from the Outer Rim territories, she said, her voice neutral. Jay nodded. Each report was a carefully designed piece of a larger psychological puzzle. Information was a weapon more powerful than any physical technology. The station's communication systems hummed softly. Incoming transmissions from various alien confederacies showed predictable patterns, cautious, measured, always maintaining significant distances. No one wanted to risk provoking human attention. Historical records showed something fascinating. Humanity had transformed warfare into a psychological performance. The threat was often more powerful than actual action. Every alien civilization had built complex defense systems against a potential human attack that might never come. Quantum communication networks ran silent protocols. Microscopic data collectors gathered information about potential threats. But the true threat was the suggestion of a threat. Outside, stars continued their silent dance. Alien navigation systems plotted elaborate routes around human-controlled spaces. Fear had become a form of navigation. The last Krellian ambassador signed the final non-aggression treaty. His appendages moved with nervous energy. He didn't understand the full complexity of what was happening. No one did. Jay allowed himself a subtle smile. The treaty meant nothing and everything. It was another layer in the complex game of interstellar psychological warfare. Nearby holographic displays showed minimal information. Complex algorithms suggested vast technological capabilities, but suggestion was the real power. A communication specialist entered the observation deck. Her tablet displayed encrypted messages that suggested multiple layers of potential conflict and resolution. Each message was a carefully designed piece of a larger strategic puzzle. The truth was both simpler and more complex than any alien civilization could comprehend. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology, it was the collective imagination of potential horror. Quantum entanglement allowed the system to exist in multiple states simultaneously. It could analyze potential defensive strategies before they were even conceived. Traditional concepts of attack and defense became meaningless. The station maintained its silent vigil. Alien vessels moved like careful dancers, maintaining precise distances. Their navigation systems programmed with ancestral memories of humanity's potential technological violence. In this moment, in this space, humanity didn't need to demonstrate power. The mere suggestion, the whispered legends, the carefully maintained reputation, these were weapons far more effective than any physical armament. The last diplomatic transmission ended. Another successful negotiation completed. Another layer of uncertainty established. J. Park watched the stars. No alien civilization would casually cross into human space. Not today. Not ever. The fear was real. The reputation was earned. And humanity remained, as always, quietly, confidently in control. The ultimate deterrent wasn't a weapon. It was the perfect balance between what was known and what was imagined. And in the vast cold darkness of space, that balance continued to shift, one carefully calculated moment at a time.